saying that innocent people, men, women, and children that are bombed by Israel are, quote, human shields is satanic and evil, wicked. You're talking about human beings and you're justifying the slaughter of innocent people in some of the most horrible ways by calling them human shields. And this is done by Christians. This is done by major pastors and major big YouTube channels, Christian people. To give them the benefit of the doubt, they don't quite understand what they're saying. But it is evil and it is a lie from Satan. When I used to hear Israel has the right to defend itself, right? We've all heard that. Israel has a right to self-defense. Well, let me ask you a question. Does Iran have a right to self-defense? What about the people in Gaza? Do they have a right to self-defense? You see, logic breaks down when it comes to these arguments. And logic is not on their side. The propaganda is on their side. Because as soon as you ask that question, you're an anti-septic, etc. You're not allowed to ask those questions and push back like that. Especially if you're Christian, because God blesses those who bless Israel and he curses those who curse Israel. So America, we just have to do everything that Israel wants. Doesn't matter what they're doing. God gave them the land. They're allowed to do whatever they want. And we can't turn our back on Israel because God will curse our land. Well, let me tell you something right now. That is thoroughly anti-biblical. The Bible actually says the exact opposite. Did you know in the Old Testament, when God dealt with his people, the actual Israelites, the actual Jews, who knows who these people are? They look like a bunch of white people from the Caucasus Mountains. They don't look Semitic to me. But maybe they are the true Jews. Let's say they are. Okay? What happened back in the Old Testament when God was dealing with his people? We know those were his people. How did he deal with them with other nations, helping them in their warfare? He cursed the people, his own people, when they went to other nations for help. So it's literally the opposite of what the church is telling us. They're telling us, oh, we can't turn our back on Israel. God's going to curse us. And now Trump seems to be doing that. And they're like, oh no, that's really bad, right? And then they'll say things at the same time after that, but God's going to fight for Israel. Well, let me ask you a question. If God is going to fight for Israel, what do they need us for? What does God need us for? And the answer is he doesn't. In the Old Testament, the Jews and the Israelites had to rely fully on God when it came to warfare. They were not to go to the outside nations for help. You guys should know this stuff. This is in the Bible. But these people, these political movements, these countries have taken over our churches and pumped this propaganda right into us, right into our minds, right from the pulpit. And people don't question it, and you're not allowed to question it. But this is the fact. This is how God dealt with his people. Will America turn its back on Israel? Will they be alone? And then God will supernaturally protect them in the end times? I believe that's very possible. Are we seeing that with Donald Trump? Possibly. We're going to see what happens right now. If he actually turns his back on Israel and stops funding them, stops giving them weapons, right now he's criticizing them and saying things that everybody's been saying all along. Now he sounds like a leftist. Now he sounds like a liberal, right? Israel's doing some bad things. They shouldn't be bombing apartment buildings in Lebanon. You don't have to bomb an apartment building all the time. They're bombing in the middle of the city. It's not even southern Lebanon. On and on. He's saying Israel is not doing the right thing. Right? So the human shield idea, this human shield argument, this is a total piece of propaganda that's been pumped in the mainstream media. They always say this stuff. Israel has a right to self-defense. Even right now, Israel is bombing the crap out of Christians in Lebanon. And the Christian church is supporting the killing of Christians. You're supporting the killing of Christians and babies and children and innocent people. That's your Christianity. That's what happens when you follow this wicked satanic church system, the synagogue of Satan that runs your mind and runs the church. They've literally got you supporting the synagogue of Satan, doing the most wicked things without questioning it, giving you 100% support while you obsess about things like abortion. Fine, you want to be against abortion, you want to vote for candidates who are against abortion? Awesome. Maybe you should also vote for people who don't want to go to the Middle East and kill Christian children. Hello? So this idea about human shields, right? It's one of the many buzzwords that they use that shuts down all thinking and just like, oh, okay, I go into a spell and I guess Israel's allowed to do whatever they want. But when I always heard it, oh, so they say, oh, those people, those Arab nations that were bombing, well, first of all, they say it's self-defense. How is that self-defense? Even everything after October 7th is by definition not self-defense. You're not defending yourself. Self-defense would have been you did something on October 7th and you defended your country as Hamas was doing. Oh, interesting. They didn't defend themselves on October 7th. There was nobody to be found. The most highly patrolled border in the world is the Gaza-Israel border. Troops are there all the time, every single day, snipers and everything. If anybody gets near that border, I'm talking about press, children, they will shoot them in the face. I've seen the videos, and they're not AI. This was before AI came out. I've seen videos of Israeli soldiers shoot a child in the face and laugh. The kid died, he fell, they high-fived, and they laughed. And you want to tell me that's God's people and I got to support that? I'll censor myself. I'm not going to support that. When I saw that, I said, that's the most wicked, evil thing I've ever seen in my life. How could somebody do that? Oh, and then I remembered. Well, the Talmud says that these people are Goyim. The nations are Goyim, and then the Goyim have no soul, and you want to say that's anti-Semitic? It's in the book. I'm not saying all Jews believe this. No, maybe most Jews don't believe that. But some do, and they're acting on that belief system, right? Oh, they'll say the Arabs, they teach their kids to hate the Jews from birth. Well, what do you think the Israeli soldier, if he's killing a kid like that? That kid to him is like a cockroach. It's like a dog. No big deal. You shoot a dog on the street, laugh about it, high five with your buddy. That's wicked. That's evil. I don't support that, and neither should you. So all this stuff in Lebanon is not self-defense. They're taking the land. They admit that. It's the Greater Israel Project. And they use the word self-defense as a defense against you criticizing them and seeing that they're wrong and calling them out and stop funding them and supporting them, as Trump seems to be starting to wake up, unless it's an act, which it probably is. Right? That's not self-defense. You're on the offense. But they use that to wash it away and say, oh, yeah, they're just defending themselves. The UN says that people in Gaza have a right to self-defense. Israel is the occupying force. They, by definition, according to international law, do not have the right to self-defense, actually, because they are the occupying power. They're taking people's land, and the people in the land who live there, they have the right to self-defense, not Israel. And what Israel is doing is not self-defense. So just recently, they're in Lebanon. Some Hezbollah people attack a tank of Israeli soldiers, and 4 Israeli soldiers are killed. What does Israel do in response? They do a full assault on Lebanon, in Lebanon, over like 100 sites, 100 bombs. 47 people, including men, women, and children, civilians killed in one night. That was their response. And I saw a very famous watchman posting this, and he reported all the news properly, but then he said that Israel killed 47 innocent men, women, and children, human shields. That's what he called them. And I called him out, and I said, that's satanic, that's demonic, you should not be saying that. A Christian should not be calling these people human shields. That gives justification for what Israel is doing. You're basically saying they basically deserved it. Or if you don't want to go there, well, it's just war. Israel has to do what it has to do. God's on their side. This is nonsense. This is utter garbage. And they're not human shields. Again, that's a lie that they use to get you to support whatever they're doing. Because no matter what they do, they can just say, well, they were human shields. They were in the way, and I had to kill them because they were in the way. They're in that country. We want the country, and we're going to take it, so they're human shields. It's self-defense. You can't really argue with it because, again, the logic is not on their side. There is no arguing. So they'll just keep saying the buzzwords, and they're not working anymore. They'll call you anti-Semitic. That's not working anymore. So when I was younger and didn't know too much about the conflict over there, and I would hear this idea, the Arabs, the Muslims, they use their kids as human shields. I would literally picture like, wow, that's crazy. Like they just take their kids and put the kid in front of them as the Israeli soldiers are coming or bombing. And then they throw them out there and then they strap them up with bombs and they're like, yeah, go kill yourself for Allah. That's literally what you think of because that's what it makes you think of. Guess what? That's not what's happening. What's happening is Israel's going in, taking the land, bombing whoever they want indiscriminately. And when they kill civilians, which they inevitably do, they call them human shields. And it gives them a justification to keep doing what they're doing. Right? They bomb a school. They constantly bomb schools. They just bombed a preschool the other day because they claim that there's some Hezbollah member or some Hamas member inside. And the hundreds of children that died that day to get one Hamas member, well, they were human shields because they shouldn't be in the building. Right? This is just complete nonsense. It's a lie from the pit of hell. We should not be supporting it. And it's crazy that we even have to talk about this. It's so crazy how degraded our church has become and the mind of the Christian, how degraded and disgusting it has become. Honestly speaking, the Christian mind is a cesspool of hatred, warfare, warmongering, love of war, love of death and destruction of innocent people. God says he hates the shedding of innocent blood. And these people want to revel in the shedding of innocent blood and make excuses and say, human shield, human shield. How dare they, man? How dare they trick us? But people need to wake up. If you've done it, just learn what's happening and realize it's not what they're telling you. These people are not human shields. A lot of people in Lebanon are Christians. They're killing Christians with your money, with your support. It's insane. So, more to come on that. Love you guys. Keep coming back. Jesus loves you. Peace.